Hi everybody, I've got some footage to show you to do a little video for Nelson Cathedral here in New Zealand. I took the footage yesterday and I've got everything lined up ready to show you. So let's dive straight into it. I'm going to start with the history of the cathedral. The actual name of your cathedral is Christchurch Cathedral. The original cathedral was a parish church, Christ Church. Services have been held on Church Hill or Picky May since 1842. So we need to remember that date. In 1859, Queen Victoria created the Diocese of Nelson by Royal Charter. So the diocese means that Queen Victoria got the permission from the Vatican to turn it into a cathedral. So from 1859 to 1889, Christchurch was the unofficial cathedral of the diocese. In 1889, that church was enlarged and opened as the cathedral church of the Diocese of Nelson. For early 180 years, there's been a church of sorts on the same site. The current cathedral is the fifth structure. To get that, they're saying that this structure is the fifth structure to house services on the hill. A former PA site known as Picky May, which roughly translates as come hither, up here. To date, none of these churches have been completed as originally designed. So they're saying that the churches have not been completed as originally designed. I wonder why that is. The first church was a tent in which Bishop Selwyn held a service on August the 27th, 1842. The second structure was two sheds joined together, one having been used to house surveyors and other used to process immigrants by the Wakefield Company, who used the site for their headquarters. This building was used as a church until 1851. Then a new purpose-designed church was built. So they're saying that the first church was a tent, which was built on August the 27th, 1842. The second structure was two sheds joined together. The building was used as a church until 1851. So a tent and a shed, if you've just landed into a new country that's not had any infrastructure been put in place, and you had to cut down the forest to get to where you needed to get, because we're talking 1842, and we're told that New Zealand was colonised in 1840. So that means the people turned up in 1840 to start building homes, supposedly start putting some infrastructure into New Zealand. So they would have to hack through all the bush, all the forest, and the only thing that they would be able to do is put a tent up in a shed, which is more realistic. But Christchurch, 1851. The new church named Christchurch was designed by Bishop Selwyn's favoured architect, Frederick Thatcher. We can have a look at him in a bit. Himself an ordained Anglican minister, Thatcher was one of the first 15 associates of the British Institute of the Architects of 1834. And it goes on to saying that the foundation stone for the Christ Church was laid on the 26th June 1850. It was designed with a cruciform plan, a nave of 100 feet long by 21 feet wide, transepts of 60 foot, and a tower at the crossing with a broad spire of 75 feet high. And it was intended to seat 300 to 400 people. So don't forget, this is the first solid structure that they're talking about was actually built in 1850. It's not there anymore. and they're saying that they built it to house 300 to 400 people. It was, let's see, it was 100 feet at its highest point. It was 21 feet wide, 75 feet high was one of the spires, and it was intended to house 300 to 400 people. And it's saying the style of the building, consistent with all subsequent churches on the hill, was early English Gothic. So to be early English Gothic, it would have to be built out of stone masonry. So anyway, so here we go. So William Beatson, who along with Thatcher was one of the first qualified architects in New Zealand, was commissioned to complete the church to its full length. The extended church was opened in 1859. So it took them 9 years to build this thing. 1850, when they laid the first stone, started the foundations. And they're saying it took them 9 years. It was opened in 1859. Beatson maintained the same early English details as he did when he added to the church in 1863. Beatson paid particular attention to replicating buttresses, doors and hinges, window bracing, seating and trefoil in the east end. The extreme length of the building and its low roof caused acoustic problems, and its proportions were no longer admired. So if you're in a country, if you've just landed in a new country and you're trying to get the infrastructure laid, and there would have been all sorts of problems going on. Their main issue would have been if you were there, say there was only I don't know, say you only had 500 to 600 people to build a town. The last thing you would be worried about is building some kind of temple, religious temple, because that's what they're saying cathedrals are, or churches. They're religious temples. So why would you go to all that effort of building a religious temple that's going to house 300 to 400 people? That's a big building made of stone, because they're saying it was Gothic architecture, English Gothic architecture. And now they're saying after they've built it, and it's only been up for 4 years, 1863. And then all of a sudden they said the extreme length of the building and its low roof caused acoustic problems, and its proportions were no longer admired. So Christchurch, 1887. Queen Victoria enabled Nelson to become a city in 1858 when she signed the letter patent in September 1858. The letters patent allowed for the consecration of a bishop and the construction of a cathedral. So the start of the construction, by the looks of it, was 1887. Of the second cathedral, church or cathedral, the second building on this ground. Bishop Situ followed the Hot House, chaired the Christchurch Rebuilding Committee. They wished the new church to see 800 people and to be built of stone. 800 people and to be built of stone. The use of stone was contentious, with many preferring timber for an appropriate approach to designing a cathedral. The committee quoted the foremost English authority, Sir Gilbert Scott. Again, we can have a look at that dude. The early pointed Gothic style is capable, as I think, of the greatest possible degree of dignity, united with a reasonable amount of simplicity and any amount of beauty. So, this is the third building that went on, and there's a little bit of history there about the people that built it. So anyway, the Mountford maintained the original early English style of Thatcher's church, consistent with Scott's recommendation. The rebuilt church was consecrated as Nelson's first cathedral on the 16th of February. So that's the second solid building they put up. as a cathedral. So they actually built, they're saying, they actually built, knocked down the old one that took 9 years to build, the original stone one. It took 9 years to build, and then built another one, which they actually called a cathedral. By 1887, there was another one. So the first one was the first solid one they built was 1863. It was finished by 1863. They didn't like it, so they pulled it down. So in the space of time between 1863 and 1887, they pulled the first solid one down and built another stone cathedral that housed 800 people. The current cathedral, by 1916, the cathedral was in poor state of repair. Now this was a stone building, so they're saying that in a space of 30 years, a stone building was in poor state of repair, and the spire tower were removed. A fire did further damage in 1920, and it was decided that a new cathedral was needed. So they're just going to throw another load of resources that they probably didn't have, another cathedral. That cathedral that they just built would have been huge. They say it housed 800 people. So none of this makes any sense anyway. Frank Peck was commissioned to design the new cathedral. Another Nelson architectural firm, Holkner and Duke, provided design for the cathedral, but theirs was not successful. Peck was an English architect, was trained by Sir Aston Webb. He immigrated to New Zealand in 1915, where we prepared designs for a number of churches, including Wellington St Paul's Proto-Cathedral, design for which received praise by his former employer, Sir Aston Webb. Blah, blah, blah. Right. The design of the cathedral was magnificent, also in the early English style. The foundation stone was laid on the 5th of August 1925, and let's just find out when it was finished. 25. The drawings show the self-elevation with a tall, steeply pitched gable, including a rose window, torals and gable buttresses. Under the rose window are triple gables, the central gable being the main entrance with engaged columns, hood moulds, also called label stops, with masks representing the kings, bishops, Selwyn and Patterson, Archbishop Averell, and gargoyles at the junctions of the gables. We can look at them. The entrance doors have shouldered arches with further masks as corbels representing Bishop, Hobhouse, Sadler, Sutler and Yules. Where does it say it was finished? All work stopped in 1932. A partially completed building was opened by Governor General Lord Bledsoe in 1933. So they started building it, and the new one that stands there now in 1925, and it was opened in 1933. And I think they're still saying that it was never finished. The Mountford timber chancel was added to the north end of the incomplete church. So yeah, they're saying the church was never really finished. The following end of the World War II, it was decided to complete the cathedral, but not to Peck's design. A Wellington architect, Ron Muston, a partner with structure, was selected to design the new extension. So yeah, they're saying in their narrative that it was never finished off. And the reason they do this is because the pictures that I'll show you, is it's damaged. The tower's not been finished. So I'll go into my pictures now. So here we are. So this is I'll play this video, which is in the inside of the cathedral. Turn down the microphone a bit. You don't need to hear any of that. So. And I'll pause it where I think it's necessary. because there's something really interesting I want to show you. About the cathedral. Right. This is the what they call rose windows. Now this is a touchy subject because this touches on religion. And my opinion of this, my conclusion is this: is the Christ in the middle, depiction of Christ in the middle that everybody knows as Jesus, represents the sun, the light of Christ. That's where it comes from, the light of Christ. And then all of these, let's count them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, what do we have 12 of? We have 12 hours in a day, 12 months in a year, 12 signs of the zodiac. So, I propose that's what this is. This is the 12 signs of the zodiac, built into the cathedrals, the churches, what we call churches, cathedrals. And always these windows are always built. So I think that side there is. Let me think now. Could be west facing. So there's one of these west facing, and then there's one east facing. So it rises in the east, sets in the west. So they're always facing the sun, so that light can shine through. And you've got the sun in the middle, the light of Christ, and then you've got all the signs of the zodiac. But I'm pretty sure, now I don't know much about religion, Christianity, but I'm pretty sure that the Christian teaching is, astrology is something that they don't talk about, and they make out that it's like devil worship. So I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's no mention of astrology. So I'm going to show you some other pictures of the zodiac that I pulled off from the internet. Here we go. Zodiac. Here we go. The zodiac clock. And what do we see? All the signs of the zodiac. 12 signs of the zodiac. And in the middle you would have the light of Christ, representing the sun, or in this case a clock. But the point is, it's the sign of the zodiac and 12 signs. So what I'm saying is, every age that's been on this earth, every golden age, because we're in a dark age. So dark age meaning we've been dumbed down. We have no knowledge, so we're in darkness. Humanity has been in darkness. But any time that we've been in the golden age, we have complete knowledge of the zodiac, the cycles of time, the cycle, the yugas. And through the it's all there, look. The light in the middle, and the stars, the cycle, the zodiac. All there, and I would suggest that they put all these in most churches and cathedrals. You'll be able to find a symbology of the zodiac, because what I'm saying is the Tartarian culture, past civilization, whatever you want to call them, this is really important, because they, really important. So there's obviously a lot we don't know about the cycle of the zodiac, and they knew all about it, and they knew how important it was. There's a guy that I watched a video called Bro Sanchez, and he was explaining the Egyptian zodiac cycle and the sun symbols, what they mean, and the fact that they're all split. The cross with the Christ light in the middle represents the sun. See how it's the sun coming off it, and the sun is like a hologram. It's the sun of creation coming through into our reality, and we're all holographic of that light. And as we go through the ages, so we're just coming out of the age of Pisces, going into the age of Aquarius, you get different parts of the light, Christ light, the creation light, projecting onto our reality. And now we've moving into Aquarius, we're getting an extra part of that light coming back into creation. So we're moving back into a different age of light. So we're in an age of darkness, which is Pisces. So we're only getting that part of the holographic light from creation, the light of Christ. And as we go round into a golden age, I don't know where that golden age will be, but maybe it will be in this half of the quarter. So this half of the zodiac clock could represent spring and summer. So this could be the silver age, and this could be the golden age, and then we go back to we go back to the winter, to the autumn, and the winter, spring, summer, and it's as simple as that. So that's what I'm proposing, and so it's split into 3 quarters, which gives you the cross, and that's where the cross symbol comes from, which again is in all the old sun symbology. It's all the cross. There it is. Christ the light in the middle. There's the symbol of the sun coming out from each teardrop shape of light. So it all just symbolises light and the zodiac and the hologram of creation shining down on us. And we're about to we're heading into spring and summer. So we'll be heading into the first quarter of the golden age, or the silver age, or however you look at it. So, interesting, isn't it? Play. There's a few parts of this video that went out of focus because I'm still getting used to my camera, so I apologise. you can appreciate the detail and the workmanship that's gone into this building from that last age. So look, it's out of focus, and you'll see me move my camera in a minute to find the auto focus button. There we go. There we go. It's back in focus. But it's a beautiful building, and when I was in here, I sat down when I first got in here at this part of the building, next to the organ. There's a dent there in one of the pipes. It must have been hit by a bloody scissor lift, I would imagine. And it was interesting to look at all the symbology on the windows. Gothic archways, what we know as Gothic archways. But, you know, how would they have constructed this when this was supposedly constructed started being constructed in 1925? But we couldn't even get anywhere near this today. No way we could get anywhere near this. Now you see how even this symbol here, I want to focus it in a minute. I'll just pause it when it focuses in, and I'll just show you what I mean by the symbols. You'll never look at a cathedral window symbology the same ever again once you realise this stuff. So there we go. So there's the crest in the middle. So that crest, they never tell you what these crests mean, or they give you their own version. But there's the lion. So to me, that represents the 4 ages, the zodiac, the 4 quarters. And then the crest in the middle could well be, there's the cross in the middle. It could well just be the people that would be behind building this particular cathedral. That could be their family crest, because all them family crests must have come from somewhere. That could be their crest. And then again, this shows the light emanating from the sun. Just keep running it. (1858), I think that was when they got the permission for it to be consecrated as a cathedral in 1858. I think that's what it said. Got all these pictures here. Just gonna. I wonder if I could. No. Symbology. So there's the other side. Exactly the same shape, but it hasn't got any of the symbols in it. That's underneath the organ there. It's all been panelled off. And the reason I think it's been the panelling looks to me like it's been done in the last 40-50 years. So I think what they've done is they've panelled over with ply and mouldings to cover up the original carvings of which the organ originally sits on, because they don't want you to see it. And it's the same with the ceilings. I noticed in the ceilings that they've lowered the ceilings and dry lined it. I'll show you here. Those ceilings there, they're not the original ceilings. They've lowered them ceilings and they've put framing in, and then they've put dry lining over it, and they've put these tiles in. I could tell when I was looking at it just with my own eyes. So what they've done is they've covered the original inside of the rafters and the beams, because they don't want you to put two and two together. So you know, even though we can anyway, but they've definitely covered all that over for whatever reason, because they don't want us to see it. That's what I think. The balconies at the top. See where there, look? They covered it over. I tried to see if I could get up the top there, but it was all locked up. Couldn't get up. And these stained glass windows, beautiful. Look. How the hell did we do that? And when you stand next to these columns, they're huge, they're massive, and just one of those pieces. I was stood next to it thinking about it. There's no way you could lift it up with a couple of guys, even a team of guys. You would need really big cranes. So that's that video anyway. So let's go. See what we'll get to next. That's just my thumbnail. Let's see what else we've got in there. What else we got? Just bear with me, folks. I'm just going to find my other photos. Here we go. Where are my photos? Photos, let's go back. Photos, right. Sorry about that. I'm still getting used to the technology, because you know, I'm a carpenter builder by trade, and now all of a sudden I'm using the tools of the digital world, and I'm really struggling with it. So let's just find some more photos of the cathedral, which will walk around the top, and then we'll look at all these other photos in a minute. So my apologies. As I get better, I'll be able to set up slideshows and stuff. So here we go. Okay. Here we go. Right, I'll start back at that one. So here's the tower, and which is really interesting because it looks like it's been damaged by fire. I don't think it mentioned any of that in the narrative. See there where they've put steels in to strengthen it. They've added a ladder. So if they've put steels in to strengthen it, it was definitely damaged. Definitely damaged after the event, the cataclysm, and they've had to put these in. They probably put them in a lot later, or maybe they're in there to hold the bells up. Because I'm surprised that the bells are even still in there, because I know Martin Leitker said on his channel that a lot of the bells were taken out of all these churches and cathedrals, a lot of them. And also I noticed here that there's rebar showing. I don't know if you can see that, where it's rusted up there, look. See where it's been damaged? There's rebar in it. So they were definitely using some kind of concrete cast system. So they're pre-forming all the blocks and then building from that. So you imagine working from a drawing and pre-forming all these blocks out of some kind of concrete mix. I'm not saying it is concrete that they used. It might have. Don't forget, we're talking last golden age, last quarter of the golden age. So that they had no doubt about it. They had knowledge and tech that we can only imagine. We can't even conceptualize yet. So imagine casting all these blocks back in the early 1920s and building this stuff. I just can't see that it's possible that they did that, because, like I've said before, this stuff it's so perfect. It's almost like the casts that they're made of. So if you're going from my point of, from a carpenter's point of view, all these casts, it's called shuttering. So all that shuttering, all these molds would have to be made on the ground in a warehouse type place, because you couldn't do it out in the weather. You'd need to be away from the elements, and you'd need to be able to concentrate on what you're doing. And you would need to make casts for each section. So you would need a load of casts for that section there, a load of casts for that section there, and so on. And then on this bit here, you would need a cast just for that section where they're all the same. And then a cast for this section, and then one for that section, etc. So just in this area there would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different casts types. Plus you've got these as well. Just for that. And that would be really hard to do. Trust me. That would be really hard to make. Yeah. So, let's go to the next one. It's a bit dark, that one. The sun was behind the cloud. So yeah, we're looking at technology there. Bit of antiquitech. Again, you can see it's the intricate design in it. Absolutely beautiful, and it's all as old as the hills. It's really old. Mud flood evidence. There's a doorway there. I think I've got a closer up shot further along. Buttresses. Beautiful. Same area. A piece of the tower from a different angle side of the building. I don't know what the flag is. If anybody knows what that flag is, please put it in the comments, because I have no bloody idea whatsoever. And I'm not going to pretend to know. So again, here what I was saying with the casting molds. Imagine how many molds, different molds you would need to make this. If there's any carpenters here, watch this, builders, they will know exactly what I mean. Exactly what I mean. And they would all have to be marked and handed as well. Just unbelievable. They'll all be handed. They won't be the same. You couldn't use, for instance, one that side and use it again on that side. It would have to be a left and a right hand. It would have to be handed. To the next photo. You can see there where they've cut out the stone and inlaid one of their flagstones, telling you their false narrative of when it was all built, because they do that. Mud flood, there's a doorway going down there into it, and when you stand back and look at the building as a whole, there we go. as a doorway, and they've just shut it around and formed a concrete wall around the doorway so they can still access underneath, but nobody's allowed in there. This is some history on it. I'm not even going to bother reading it. It's a waste of time. It's a little bit about the bishop and the architect. You can freeze this and you can read about it if you want. But again, it's a waste of time. 1858, 2008, Bishop Selwyn's vision. That's the video I did. The rose window. So here they've given their narrative of the rose window, and they've split it all. See that they just do this to throw you off. So they've see all these little symbols in between the signs of the zodiac. These ones, to go with them, are all just little doves, and I propose that they're just divisions in between the actual signs. But they've numbered it as though it's part of it. And no, that's not the case. They've just done it, and then they've just put their narrative to it. But it is interesting what they've used. So they've got number 4. They're saying is the tree of life. So if I found number 4 on here, with a symbol, number 4 is the same as the tree of life. And Alpha and Omega, God is the beginning and the end, which is number 9. Now, to me, the Alpha and Omega would be the one in the middle. That'd be the Alpha and Omega. The Sun, Christ of light, light of Christ, Christ consciousness. But no, they put it as number 9. So it's all confusing stuff, where number 9 to me, the symbol on there, looks like the Libran symbol. So I don't know, I'm not a big expert on it, but I'm just giving my what I think it represents. And then you've got 12 doves representing his apostles. So yeah, it's all really interesting, but they've done it all just to confuse everybody. It doesn't represent the zodiac. So they've just turned it into a religious thing. Jesus Christ, the Son of Righteousness. You know what it should say is Christ's light, the light of creation. To me, that's what it represents. The organ, beautiful organ, and like I said earlier, that part there that it sits on is all panelled over with like a plywood, and they've used mouldings and plywood to cover it all over, clad it all over. And I propose what they've done is they've done that on purpose to cover the original carvings, because they don't want us to see how good they were at carving with timber back then. They could get away with the stonework, cladding all that over. So they just thought, we'll just clad over that. That's what I'm proposing. I'm not saying that has happened, but that's what I'm proposing. An old flag. Some photos that were out of focus. I'm sorry. The ceiling. That was definitely all lowered, and it was all there to cover up the original beams and rafters, because they were all carved. They would have all been carved. Something as beautiful as this. There it is. Just some more stuff that they've put in. In 1842, very near this point, Captain Arthur Wakefield placed a stake to mark the starting position for the layout of Nelson Town of New Zealand. Yeah, if you look at all the old maps of Tartaria, you'll see that New Zealand's already built out by that time period anyway. And look at this. I mean, how on God's earth were they able to create something like this back in the 1920s? Even if they built it in the 1920s when they're saying, how could they create something like that? Because if you look at the concrete buildings now, the shit that they put up now, they can't do any of this. No way. can't even get near it, and then never will. Now, to me, that looks like there was a spire on top of there originally. It doesn't look something not quite right about that the front of that building. So I'm suggesting that there's a spire originally on there. More symbolism on the in the stained glass windows, of which they've used turned it around on its head and applied it to religion, which I've talked about in I think it was my second video. Mud flood doorway. So all this around here would have been covered in mud. You can see there, and I touched that with my hand, just that it wasn't concrete. It wasn't concrete, or at least if it was, not the same kind of concrete that we use today. So they've definitely used some form of, that would have been, what I'm saying is, that would have been in a non-solid state to begin with, because it's got like ripples in it. And you can't say that was the weather, because none of this other part of it is weathered. That's just the process where it's solidified and it's left the ripples in it, and that's how they would have done it. Part of it, beautiful, absolutely stunning. My son just going, Dad, look, mud flood doorways. Yeah, I know, son. He knows all about it. He's having his home education on it for sure. You can see there where they've added stepways, so that would suggest that doorway would have been a whole lot bigger and gone down further. The other side, the other window, facing the other direction. One of these windows would be sunrise, and one of these windows, the window on the other side would be sunset. So always remember that when you look at the cathedrals. One sunrise, one sunset. That's what I propose. An out of focus picture, out of focus. And that gives you an idea of how big it is. And even these look more symbolism from the old world. Symbols within symbols. So that flower is representing the four ages. 1, 2, 3, 4, with a cross in the middle, and then 4 again, representing the 4 angels. So I propose that that's what the English rose represents as well. The cross, the Knights Templar, the cross, the 4 angels, with the sun in the middle, giving out all light of creation. And I propose that's what it represents. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Just putting it out there. This is it's not a very good photo. Again, I was out of sync with my camera. This is Trafalgar Square, going down the steps, looking down into the street. A timber building. Timber building's interesting because I think, part of me thinks that latter part of the age of Tartaria, that culture, civilization, whatever you want to call it, they were building in timber as well, not just stone. Because a lot of these timber buildings in New Zealand, even them, they couldn't reproduce today. The joinery on them is just insane. You couldn't reproduce it. You probably could, but not to the extent that they did, especially the old churches that were built out of timber. Anyway, that's just a stone. These are the steps, and I would say they were all original to the age. These, again, all these metal lampposts, huge, massive, beautiful that is. Here's the fountain, which is on the original photos of this. You can see where it's been surrounded in mud, and that bit there they've covered over it, and there was 4 pieces that they've removed as well. And the 4 little pieces look like almost like 4 mini obelisks, and they've moved it. They've removed them. The fountain's still running though, and this fountain, this light's huge. It's really, really big. Pictures, and that's one of those buildings, one of the timber buildings, which I propose was from that era. And a shot of one from the other side of the buildings. Beautiful. All in Nelson, in Trafalgar Square. 1864. Or is it I-864? Fountain. Merchant Nelson. Don't know what that means. Of the late John. Whoever that is. Of the late John Simmons. Merchant Nelson. Again, the cross symbolism, the lion in the middle. And how many times have we seen the lion symbolised as a sun? How many times the cross symbol? 4 quarters, 4 ages. Interesting. All in their symbolism. And also another thing they've done with these names of these people, they've stolen the names of these people. What I propose is the names of these people, these architects and these photographs, they've stole from the last age, and they've inserted it into their narrative to make it more believable of what they achieved. Just putting it out there. No, you don't want to look at that. That's my fish. So that's it. That's it for Nelson. I've got some more. Actually, I've got a little bit more footage. Photos, if I can find it. Let's go back to photos. Here we go. Oh, I need to go up. That's it. I apologise. I need to go back up. That's it. So that was one of my dogs, Pippi, you could see just then. And one of my aquariums. I keep tropical fish. So let's go all the way up, back to where we were. So this is a photo I took off the bottom of a column. Again, these columns were huge, and the inscription in that is NZI, with a C around it. And that part of the column, that's all covered in copper. So even to do something like that, that's the craftsmanship that would have to go into that. It is astounding. So I propose that they'd struggle to do that back then as well, and that's at the top of the column. The column's huge, it's massive. So the column's probably nearly as wide as me in the length, as tall as I am in the width, if that makes sense. So that's all copper as well. Again, how would they have been able to do that in the time period that they tell us they did it? That's Lambreta's Cav Bar in Nelson. This is another building I took a photo of. Some more. They've all just been turned into shops. All brick, all beautiful, all ornate. See that there? That's the same as they use in the Greek architecture that they call Greek. But I propose it's all the same. If you watched my last video, all the same people repeating the same style of architecture throughout the realm. There's a brick one in Nelson. Here, along here, I'll show you one of the building You can see there where that would have been an original big doorway, and they've built that. They've put that within it, but put concrete steps up to it because it would have been a lot bigger up to that floor level. Timber. There's a timber church in Nelson. We've got one here in Blenheim. I'll do a little video on that as well. I'll see if I can get inside the one in Blenheim, if they'll let me in. That'll be interesting. But I propose that all these were built within the same, from the same peoples, because I very much doubt the people that were recolonising New Zealand after the event would be able to do any of this. Anyway. And there's another one from that same street aspect of one just over a couple of streets over. So these things were everywhere. These cathedrals, churches were everywhere. Nelson School of Music, giant windows, a plaque, just homing home their narrative over the top of everything, of all the buildings that they've stolen, the tech they've stolen from us. Another side glance of that wooden church. Another building. This is what I'm talking about. So, this brick building here in Nelson. See how that doorway goes, is that height, and it goes down to the street level. Well, I propose all this here has all been rendered over the top. It's all been added over the top, and it's hiding these windows here, because those are proposing that those windows would go further down into the ground, like that, and they've just rendered over the top with a cement-based render to cover all the brick that disappears down into the ground along with the windows, because it doesn't make any sense. There's no reason why you'd have to have that there, because one, it's ugly, and two, it doesn't serve any purpose. It doesn't serve any purpose other than to hide the fact that those windows go down into the ground, and so would that doorway. The only time you see that on buildings in New Zealand, on the old ones built in the 60s and the 70s and the 50s, is if they've got a concrete ring foundation, and then the building's actually built off the concrete ring foundation. But that is not a concrete ring foundation, no way, because the floor is there. And with a house that's had a concrete ring foundation built off, the ring foundation is below the floor height. Below the floor height, okay? Let's carry on. Again, they've done that's that same building from a different elevation. Again, they've gone right up here, look, to hide those windows. The fact they've hiding those windows down, going down into the ground. That's what they've done, for sure. That's what they've done. They even put vents in, look, to ventilate it, stop it damping up. Because if those bricks meet the soil, which they will, I bet they get problems with damp along there, and that's why they've put those vents in, to try and eliminate the damp problem. But they never will, because those bricks there were not designed to be sat in the earth. Where the earth meets the air, you're always going to get problems. So any builder will tell you that. So again, see how far up that goes, and it always goes up level to the underside line of those windows. So they've just run with a level line to a point on those windows, because those windows go right down, as I said. So it just gives them a point to work to, and then they've just fitted this bit here, infilled it with timber, and put a false sill on there to run the water off. Same there. Masonic temple. The Masonic temple was it looked like it was up for lease or for sale, by the way. So I don't know what's going on. All the Masonic temples I've seen when I used to live in Waimate, that was the same. That was up for sale. So there's something going on with them lot. So that's it. That's my video on Nelson Cathedral and surrounding area. So I'll be doing another video next week. I'll either be doing a live stream or another little video for Picton. I'm going to head over to Picton. There's a church over in Picton, and I can do a little video about that and any other little buildings that are in Picton that can more evidence for mud flood and tartaria in New Zealand. So thank you very much for watching my video, and may you be blessed with the eyes of the Creator. Thank you very much.